Tanya for Friday, the 17th of Adar. And it's page 108 in the Chayenu, in chapter 30 in Tanya. So we mentioned yesterday, so it's really a continuation of yesterday's Tanya. And yesterday we learned that a person has to be humble before every person. Even if he's Kal Shebekalim, even if he's the most unworthiest individual, we still have to humble our spirit before him. Don't look at him. In Hebrew they say, Begova Einayim, when you speak to somebody in the same eye level, right? It shows that you're respecting him. But if you're looking down at him, if you're being condescending, it's prohibited. It says, be humble before every person, even the sinner. So, he's a sinner, so maybe I can be rude to him? No. And actually, this person needs more love than other people. So therefore, this way you can. This is achieved by judging everyone favorably and realizing that one shouldn't judge another negatively until you walk in their shoes. So that's what we learned yesterday. And today's Tanya, he said, even if someone has a reason for sinning, it is never an excuse. In any given situation, one still had the ability to control the impulse. Now other people will say, we mentioned yesterday that not all the evil inclinations are the same. I can have much more powerful evil inclination than you have, potentially. And I can have a temperament that is completely different than yours. And therefore my challenges are going to be much stronger than yours. So how can you judge me from your place? You're not dealing with the same challenges that I do. If my evil inclination is stronger and I'm hot-blooded person, and my job is to be in the shopping in the mall all day long, and you're sitting in your office and you don't have the same challenges, how can you judge someone else? You have to be walking in his shoes. But on the other hand, a guy said, I have this temperament, I was born with this, I was born with this character trait, I was born with this type of a job, I grew up to this environment, so I have excuse for sinning. That's not an excuse. Why? You shouldn't give yourself these excuses, because you can control it. Even though it might be a difficult fight for you, but you can still win the fight. In any given situation, one still has or had the ability to control their impulse. I always say you can't control what people will tell you or what people will do, but you can control what you're going to do, right? You can't control what they're going to say or what they're going to tell you, but you can decide to respond, not to respond. If I respond, how will I respond? I can respond this way, that way. It's always your choice. You have the control to do it.
A good question to ask a person is, who's in charge here? Who was in charge?
Right. Who is really running the show?
The neighbor is in charge of the scene, or you're in charge of this?
Exactly. So if you fall prey to the provocation, then the neighbor is in charge of the scene. But if you're not falling prey to it, then you are dominating the scene. It's not about really, in essence, it's not who wins and who dominates the scene, but Alter Rebbe is teaching us that we have the tools to control the situation. In truth, even he who is extremely passionate by nature is passionate. Like you mentioned yesterday, his head moved right to left, like windshields, and whose livelihood obliges him to sit all day at the street corners. He's a merchant. He's going from one door to door. He's going from one place to another. He's always in the market. Has no excuse whatsoever for his sins, and he is termed Rosh HaGomor, an utter evildoer for not having the dread of God before his eyes. Even this guy should have had the dread of God before his eyes. No matter how the temptation, how strong is the temptation. Didn't you see God in front of you? You didn't have the fear of God.
I didn't see Hashem.
For he should have controlled himself and restrained the feeling of desire in his heart because of the fear of God, who sees all his actions. This fear of God would have enabled him to overcome his desires. Despite the difficulties imposed by his surroundings and his nature, as explained above, the mind has supremacy over the heart by nature of one's birth. It's not something you develop, it's there for you already. The mind has supremacy over the heart. It is the man's inborn characteristic that his mind is able to master and restrain his heart's desires. Let's continue for the next one, for Shabbos, 18th of Adar. Even if someone has a reason for sinning, it is never an excuse. In any given situation, one still had the ability to control the impulse. You have a good reason, but it's not an excuse. והנה באמת שמלחמה גדולה ועצומה יש בעצם פני לשבור היצר הבוער כאש לו ומפני פחד הוויוך מניסיון ממש. Truly it is a great, fierce struggle to break one's evil nature, which burns like a fiery flame. For the fear of God, indeed, it is like a veritable test. It's a test, very difficult test. Therefore, every man ought to weigh and examine his own position according to the standards of his place and rank in divine service. Interestingly, Alter Rebbe uses the word lishkol v'livchen ba'atzmai. A person has to weigh and examine his own position. It doesn't say judge yourself, meaning we learned we shouldn't be judging others. But here, Alter Rebbe uses a language that we should examine ourselves, weigh where we are, weigh and examine his own position according to the standards of his place and rank in divine service.
Can you expand, Rabbi, on this place and rank?
Yeah, it's like what's his environment, what type of
What level are you at?
what level, what kind of situation you're facing, what kind of challenges you're facing. What is your spiritual level also? Where you're standing spiritually. What about what?
Rank.
Rank is like where you at. Where you at. We learned before that you can even see where you at.
Who you represent in society?
It says you can you can see where you at even by the dreams that you have. You want to know where you at, you can see where your dreams are. What are you dreaming about? And it tells you where you at. That's also a rank to know where a person is.
Yeah, because rank has another signification.
Well, you can interpret it in many ways, but the idea is a person should examine where he is standing. Where are you? The famous explanation of the word ayeka. Ayeka can mean literally where you at. Where you at physically, geographically where you at, but it could also mean spiritually where you at.
In divine service.
In divine service, you're fulfilling your mission, you're doing what you're supposed to do.
Right.
You doing what you were sent to do.
Right.
That's the inner meaning of ayeka, or where you at. The same idea is according to his madrega, according to his level in avodas Hashem. It doesn't say just rank; it's rank in the service of Hashem, in divine service. Is he learning with passion? Is he praying with excitement? Is he meditating before prayer?
Right.
Imagine, it says a very interesting point. It says, if you think about if you now go out, you zoom out and try to analyze the intensity of the desire that you have to do something negative. So that means that power is in you, right? Whatever it is, you have a certain power, a certain amount of energy that it's fiery flame, it's burning, and you want to do something. Said fine. You did it, you didn't do it, it's not relevant right now, but you have that potential, right? You feel that it's burning in you. Are you using the same fire when you come to pray? So if, fine, you use it in that realm, you use it in that category, are you using the same force, the same energy, the same excitement on the other side?
Or I see also maybe you can rechannel the same energy.
Obviously, but what happens, one of the evaluation that he's talking about, what do you mean weighing yourself? He says, one of the things you have to look is how much energy I'm putting here and what type of energy am I putting there. As to whether he serves God in a situation requiring a comparable struggle in a manner commensurate with the dimensions of such a fierce battle and test as the Kal Shevekalim faces.
But to be fair, one is a struggle, is a material struggle, the other is a spiritual struggle. In other words, one is more tangible than the other.
Right, of course. That's why we can't judge, but
exactly.
Person for himself needs to.
Be very great.
But also, if I want to see why I shouldn't be judging someone else, beside all the other things, he says, if I'm looking at Reuven, right? Okay, Reuven is now about to sin, and I see how he builds the whole fantasy and he speaks about it and he goes all crazy. So I'm asking myself, look at this desire, look at this passion. Am I using the same energy for davening? I myself, I'm looking at him. He has from 1 to 10. He has number 10 being used for the Avera, for the sinning, or whatever, it could be his baseball game. And I'm saying to myself, am I using the same resources, the same powers to do a mitzvah, to learn, to daven? It says, as to whether he serves God in a situation requiring comparable struggle in a manner commensurate with the dimension of such a fierce battle and test as the Kal Shevekalim faces. For even the most dispassionate and cloistered.
What is Kal Shevekalim, Rabbi?
The lowest of the lowest, the most unworthy. For even the most dispassionate and cloistered of men must often engage in battle with his evil inclination. Even if you're a very cold person, calculative, thinking, you're not running to anything, everything is slow, you're evaluating everything. Even that type of individual will still have to face some kind of struggle with his evil inclination.
Mm-hmm.
Both in an area of doing good and in that of turning away from evil, as the Alter Rebbe goes on to illustrate. Meaning the struggle will be in both ways, to do mitzvah or to refrain from an avera, from sinning. In the realm of do good, in the service of prayer with kavanah, prayer with devotion. For example, he must battle his evil inclination daily in order to pour out his soul before God with his entire strength. It's a battle to go to davening and davening properly, as the Zohar says. Ad mitzvah nefesh, to the extent of wringing out his soul, exhausting all of his intellectual and emotional power in his devotion. This battle must be waged both before, preparatory to, and also during prayer, as follows. He must wage a great and intense war against his body and the animal soul within it, which impede his devotion, crushing and grinding them like dust every single day before the morning and evening prayers. Also during prayer, he must exert himself with an exertion of spirit, so that his spirit should not grow weary of lengthy contemplation on the greatness of God, and an exertion of the body to remove the hindrances to devotion imposed by the body, as will be explained further at length.